Shalom, and welcome to this presentation on the 70 Weeks Revealed, Part 3, DaniEl chapter 9, verse 26, by DaniEl Fuentes, servant of Yodewah. This version was updated spring of 2021 Common Era. How this knowledge was gained. All honor and praise is to the Most High Yodewah, Almighty Yah. This servant sought him in humility, in prayer, in study, in deep reflection, over periods of time, with much corrections that continue to this very day. We must remember that all revelation proceeds from Ruach Qodesh, the set-apart spirit that has been given to us for guidance and instruction. Any errors are attributable to the human nature of this servant of Yodewah, myself, who is not perfect but is striving on the narrow path. Let us begin with Almighty Yudhewah's word. In the book of DaniEl chapter 9 verse 26. And after, pay attention to after the 62 weeks, Messiah shall be cut off and have nothing. Not means nothing. And the people of a coming prince shall destroy the city and the set apart place. And the end of it is with a flood. And wastes are decreed and fighting until the end. Orientation of the 70 weeks count centered on beginning of Messiah's service and his death and resurrection. In the scripture we just read, after 62 weeks shows that 62 weeks in the 70 weeks count were already fulfilled before Messiah's being cut off, that is his death. So we have to understand that. 62 weeks fulfilled equals 62 times 7, which is equal to 434 years in the 70 weeks or 490 years count. The count paused at 24 CE with the completion of the 62 weeks, then resumed at 28 CE with the beginning of Yahushua's service. Yahushua was offered at the beginning of Pesach and the Feast of Unleavened Bread in spring of 31 CE, at the age of approximately 32 and a half years, which corresponded to the 4th year of the 63rd week, or the 438th year. This was the middle of this 63rd week of years. If one was to look at a menorah, and one was to begin from the right to the left, and one was to count when one gets to the middle of the menorah, that 4th branch, that would be the midst of the week, that position 4. That's what our Messiah was offered in this fourth year of the 63rd week. Weeks 63 through 68 hidden in DaniEl chapter 9 verse 26. And after the 62 weeks Messiah shall be cut off and have nothing, not, and the people of a coming prince shall destroy the city and the set apart place, and the end of it is with a flood. And wastes are decreed and fighting until the end. This scripture is revelatory, meaning it's revelation. It shows, it reveals something. It shows us that after 62 weeks, that's when Messiah is cut off. So the one who came after the 62 weeks were completed. That's the Messiah. And then on the other end, the proof of knowing who that Messiah is, was and is is that the city would be destroyed and the set apart place. And we know that that was accomplished by Rome in 70 CE. So we know that the Messiah had to be in between those 2 points, the true Messiah, and that is Yahushua. Yahushua fits perfectly, Yahushua the Messiah fits perfectly with after the 62 weeks being fulfilled and then him being offered in the 63rd week, praise Yah, in the 4th year of that 63rd week. When reading DaniEl chapter 9 verse 26, a cryptic message is revealed when one considers Messiah's beginning of service, including his death and resurrection, and the siege of Yerushalayim by Rome. From the beginning of Messiah's service in spring 28 CE, continuing with his death and resurrection in spring 31 CE, to the siege of Yerushalayim in spring 70 CE, equals 42 years or 6 weeks of years. Specifically, weeks 63 through 68 in the 70 weeks count. So that is the reckoning of weeks 63 through 68, from the beginning of Messiah's service in spring 28 Common Era to the siege of Yerushalayim in spring of 70 Common Era. The 70 weeks count also paused here. DaniEl 9:27 identifies the resuming of the count at the 69th week. I hope you'll join me for part 4 of this teaching on DaniEl 70 weeks. This is the only reference that was used in this teaching. The quotation in this work is taken from Almighty Yod-Heh-Wah's word. The version that I used is the Institute for Scripture Research, ISR, published in 2010, known as the Scriptures 2009 edition from South Africa.